Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Late Night Degenerate Hours, man. This is Better Off Dead College Football Week 1. I'm already 0-1 in Week 1. I'm already 0-2 to start the college football season. So this is great. Oh my God. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna give out, I believe, 3 more plays. What am I even doing? 4 more plays. 3 of them are going to be Saturday. 1 is a Sunday play, so I'll just give that out on this show too. Probably will reiterate it on Sunday. We're coming off a 1-2 day. All baseball plays do. Milwaukee, Toronto under. Complete bullshit. Like, that game had 0 runs scored into the 6th inning, and it did not go under 7.5. The bullpens both got absolutely massacred in the game. It wound up being a 9-run output in the final 3 innings of the game. The first 5 obviously would have covered easily. The starting pitching analysis was correct for me on that. Looked like it was a sure under, and we lose the fucking under. Miami Mets, Yuri Perez, he's on my shit list. I'm no longer a fan of Yuri Perez. He went from one of my favorite pitchers to one of my most hated. He can fuck off. He can pay me money for that abysmal performance. That he gave up more than what the first 5 total was in 1 inning or some shit. Like, the score after 5 in that game was 12-4, I believe. What the fuck? I think the final was 19-9. I mean, at least that one is easier to take because it's a complete loss. And then we did get the under right on the Pirates-Red Sox game. Good starts from both Skeens and Tolle in his Major League debut. But Skeens, unfortunately, outpitched him by just a little bit. And then the Red Sox wound up losing 4-2, and Tolle only gave up 2 of those runs, taking his Tolle. His pitch count took its Tolle. It was still a pretty good Major League debut from him, though. 8 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. I think he's going to be good, man. Charles, what's up, man? Yeah, late night. This is ridiculous. Curtis, what's up? Good evening to you. No, NC State, absolutely not. Yeah, that under was ridiculous. NC State was, like I said, they were winning the game by 17 in the 3rd quarter. They were winning the game 17-0 early, and they were up 24-7 in the 3rd quarter, and then they never scored again, and they didn't cover. And East Carolina was driving with a chance to tie it as well. NC State, completely took their foot off the gas. Well, let's get into the college football slate for this week, man. Normally what I do here is I usually look at the top 25 matchups. Actually, let me pull this up. Let me see if I can do this. It's usually the ESPN scores page, but I have to do things differently a little bit in week 1 because, I'm looking at returning production. The returning production and the experience is going to factor largely into my plays, and I'm actually going to have a play on all of the biggest games, all of the ranked versus ranked matchups. I'm going to give out a play on every single one of them, which that's just the way that it worked out, man. I actually like all 3 of those games, all sides on all 3. That's just the way that it is. Usually I'm not going to do that. Although I think I kind of have my thinking in tune more towards like the big conference games anyway. But yeah, North Carolina State needed to cover a -14, man. Let me see. They won by 7. So usually I take a look at this, and like I said, I usually go through all the top 25 versus top 25 matchups. I'll go over some of the big ones if anything is interesting. I think this is going to be a bit of a shorter video than sometimes I have for college football because a lot of the big teams are playing cupcakes, and I think we actually have more big matchups this week than we usually do. We actually have number 1 versus number 3, Texas, Ohio State. That's going to be one of my plays. You guys already know I have a play on Texas in that game. We'll talk about the number on that because the number is gone. How many of these other games are even big? Like, seriously. I mean, Syracuse, Tennessee. Tennessee has got to be a big favorite. Yeah, they're a double-digit favorite. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about that game, but Tennessee lost their quarterback, Yamaleva. How do you pronounce his name? I don't know. He went to UCLA, so that's something to keep in mind there. Syracuse lost their quarterback as well with McCord. I think Syracuse is going to take a huge step back, though, without him. I mean, he was basically their whole team. So Tennessee, I mean, they're still an SEC team. They're ranked 24th, so that's just a quick breakdown on that one, I guess. Tennessee, they're actually up from 12.5 to 13.5, but it looks like they're the public side, 79% of tickets. I mean, of course, Tennessee, the SEC team, will be the public side. Only 68% of the tickets on there. Remember Tennessee last year, though, their defense was better than their offense. Like, they had a huge offensive output against the bad teams that they faced early in the season, and then later in the season, their offense just completely fizzled out. So Tennessee, I mean, they're going to have to try to improve their offense. I don't really see it happening right away. So this game, I mean, I agree with the move to the under. I mean, you got teams that are going to have to deal with new quarterbacks. That's probably the better way to look at that game. It's down from 55.5 to 52 already on the total, though. So, I mean, 51 is a key number. So if you did want to take the shot with the under in that game, it is an anti-public play as well. 65% of tickets on the over, 54% of the cash on the under. I don't usually give out totals. Like, hardly ever, except for in baseball, but I think it makes sense in that game. Some of these games are just such trash that it doesn't even matter. You have like Penn State and Georgia are both unbelievably gigantic favorites, and I'm not even convinced that they won't cover. Like, games like this, Penn State at 43.5, Georgia at 38.5, you got to really gauge like whether or not those teams are actually going to just take their foot off the gas. Like, do they have a reason to run up the score? I would say for Penn State and Georgia, they probably don't really have a reason to run up the score because they're already highly ranked. Like, it's not going to matter. As long as they win those games fairly easily, it's not really going to matter. Marshall, by the way, lost their entire team to Southern Miss. So Southern Miss is basically Marshall from last year. The coach left and took a bunch of his players. So Marshall is in a complete rebuild. So it still wouldn't shock me if Georgia just annihilated them and still wound up covering even without even trying. Texas, Ohio State is at noon. I don't know about actually, it being an early start time, I don't know if it really matters one way or the other necessarily. But I will talk about that game when I give the breakdown on it because I've already told you I have a Texas play, but I haven't talked about it yet. Alabama, Florida State. I don't have a play on this one, but let's talk about this. I do have a lean on this one. This is a big game. I mean, it's two big programs at least. It's Alabama, number 8 out of the SEC, of course. Florida State in the ACC. But right away, everybody knows at this point that the SEC is better than the ACC. The SEC has much more like physical defenses, so that gives the ACC problems. Florida State usually is kind of one of those higher tier teams, though, out of the ACC. They usually are pretty good on both sides of the ball, but we know Florida State just completely fell off last year. They had a horrific season last year. Should they improve this year? Yeah, they probably should. I mean, they can't really be much worse than last year, but are they going to be good right out of the gate? I'm going to guess probably not. I mean, they're in a transition period here. They have, I don't know if their coaching changed, but I know they have Castellanos is coming in as their quarterback, and I've talked about him. He's a complete dick. He was at BC, and then he basically just quit on the team and stopped playing. And now he's at Florida State, and he's basically talking shit, which is stupid because he's on the team that's already the worst team. Alabama's a double-digit favorite here on the road, and I think rightly so, actually. But Castellanos on his new team already being like, yeah, we're going to, like, beat you. He's already talking shit about his former team, about Alabama, about the other teams. All that does is motivate your opponent, man. Alabama is going to be motivated here as well anyway, because Alabama, not only is the shit talking going to motivate them, but Alabama, they're a team that's used to being in championship contention every single year, man. And Alabama, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, and I think they should have. I think they actually got screwed. I mean, they were pretty obviously better than SMU and teams like that. So Alabama, I think they're going to come out with fire right away because of that. And this is also their second season now under Kalen DeBoer. And you know that when a coach is in his first season, especially when he's replacing Nick Saban, one of the legends of coaching, those are big shoes to fill, man. And sometimes there's a transition period there, and it doesn't work out that well right away. Although Alabama wasn't even that bad last year. I mean, like I said, they had a really difficult schedule, and I actually think they should have made the playoffs. But I believe they had 4 losses, which is what kind of did them in. But they should take a step forward, second year under DeBoer. They should have more of their system in place. Alabama does have a new quarterback as well, but they have this really highly touted quarterback, Simpson, I believe is his name. So I don't know if he's going to be that great right away, but I actually probably prefer him over Castellanos. Even though Castellanos is the more experienced quarterback, I think he's the less talented of the two quarterbacks. And Alabama, I mean, I think they're too strong the whole way. Yeah, fuck you, CBS Sports, telling me to get rid of my ad blocker. Alabama, they have 14 returning starters. They're returning 2 wide receivers. They're returning virtually their entire defense, 8 returning starters on defense. I believe they have about 13 returning defensive players, and they have the running back, multiple wide receivers coming back, and 60% of their offensive line. So Alabama has a ton of returning production, man. So that's also better than what we're going to get out of Florida State here. It matters in the first game. Florida State only has 6 returning starters. They literally have an entirely new offense besides their tight end. So I think the continuity that Alabama has is also a big deal, even though their quarterback is new. They probably won't put the burden on him right away anyway, so I do lean to Alabama in this game. It's just I don't love laying double digits on the road like this, but I think the professional money is actually in agreement, even though the public is kind of on Alabama too. 73% of tickets, 84% of the cash on them. They're up from 13 to 14 now. You could probably still get a 13.5 if you look. So if you do like Alabama, laying the 13.5 is the way to go, I would say. You don't want to lay the key number of 14, but I do expect Alabama to win this game by margin here. How much did they pay? Castellanos? I don't know what he's making in the NIL, but I mean, he quit on BC anyway, so he was going to leave BC anyway. Alabama, I mean, they may still cover a 17, but obviously you should get the best number that you can. Fuck the ad block, man. So that is one of the bigger games, though, Alabama and Florida State. I'm actually going to talk about South Dakota, Iowa State. I mean, this is a crazy under-the-radar game, and I actually think this might be the best situational play of the entire week, so I am going to give out a play there. I mean, Oregon is playing Montana State. ESPN Bet doesn't even have a line on that. Oregon is replacing their quarterback as well, of course, because they had Dylan Gabriel, I believe, right? And he's in the NFL now. Montana State is actually a really good FCS team, though. They're in the FCS. They're one of the best FCS teams. So I don't know what the line is in that game. I'm sure it's huge still. There isn't even a line out on it yet, but it's probably going to be, I would guess, like in the 30s. What else do we have for games? I mean, again, week 1 is a lot easier to talk about, actually, because a lot of these games are just bullshit, pretty much. I mean, Kansas State, you could argue they're in a bad spot because they're coming back from Dublin, but they're playing a cupcake in North Dakota here. They do have Army up next, which isn't exactly a huge game either, so Kansas State, I mean, they do have a game under their belt, but like I said, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. Like, sometimes the team that's already played a game, they get some momentum going, but I think it matters less in week 1 because in week 1, the team that hasn't played yet, they spent all their offseason basically preparing for their first game. Kansas State, I mean, I wouldn't lay the points with Kansas State in this game, though, against North Dakota. I don't even know how good North Dakota is in the FCS because I don't really pay attention. Texas A&M is not that heavy a favorite, 23.5 against UTSA, which is kind of an interesting one. Texas A&M is public, obviously. They're up from 21 to 23.5. 80% of tickets, only 77% of the cash. I would probably lean on, honestly, I think I would lean to taking the points in that game. UTSA, they're a little brother in the state of Texas, so that teams usually will get up when they're one of the little guys in that same state. They'll get up for a game like this. They basically like treat it like their Super Bowl, you know. Like UTSA, this is their biggest game in the entire schedule, so you know they're going to be motivated for it, and they're going to show up. So I would actually lean that way. UTSA has actually been a pretty decent program recently. I don't know what they have for returning starters, but let me see. 31st in returning production, so that's actually pretty good, although Texas A&M is 6th. So Texas A&M should be really good this year. They're returning a lot of their production as well, which I mentioned on my college football preview show. Yeah, Texas A&M is returning 15 starters, including their quarterback, most of their defense, their entire offensive line, although they get new wide receivers coming in. But Reed, their quarterback, is coming back. So, I mean, I still probably lean to UTSA just because I think it's a little brother situation where they might get up for it. And A&M, maybe they'll be looking ahead. I don't know what they have next, though. They do have Utah State and then Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be a big game for them. They played last year as well, and that's the Mike Elko Bowl, basically, I believe, because he was, no, it's not Mike Elko. Mike Elko was with Duke. What am I saying? I was thinking he was with Notre Dame. Wait, am I right about that? I don't even know. Maybe I don't know what I'm thinking at this point, but Texas A&M Notre Dame will be a big game nonetheless, but that's in 2 weeks, not next week. LSU Clemson, huge game. I'm going to give out a play on that. Michigan, I think Michigan, like I said, they should improve as well, though I think Michigan might have a new quarterback there as well. Is that right? Let me see. They're 29th in returning production, though. There's just so much to talk about. No, they still have Davis Warren as their quarterback because I know they don't have Alex Orji anymore, who they had in the mix at quarterback last year. Let me take some coffee here. Taking a dose of the caffeine. Orji, ridiculous name. He is gone, and he is on, where is he? I think he's at UNL. Is he at UNLV now? I don't know where he went, but I know he's not at Michigan anymore. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He didn't really work out for Michigan, but Michigan does have Davis Warren returning for them, so they have decent returning production. Michigan, 13 returning starters. New Mexico is bringing in like an all-new system, I think, a new coach. I think New Mexico is going to be going through a lot of growing pains. Michigan, a huge favorite there. There's not a whole lot to talk about in a lot of these games, to be honest. So I'm going to kind of skip these and run through them pretty quickly. Skip it. That's actually it. And then we do have the two big Sunday games as well, which I'm going to give out a play on one of them, and maybe I'll talk about the other game. I have a play in the Notre Dame-Miami game, and maybe I'll talk about Virginia Tech, South Carolina on Sunday when we get to it. Unless, do you think I should talk about it now? I guess maybe I could, whatever. So Virginia Tech, South Carolina, that's going to be on Sunday. That's an ESPN game. Two big games on Sunday, one after the other, pretty much. The Notre Dame-Miami game on ABC. South Carolina is a 7.5-point favorite against Virginia Tech. This is a neutral site game in Atlanta at the Atlanta Falcons Stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so it's pretty neutral. Both of these teams have to travel to get there. It is closer to South Carolina if you want to consider South Carolina to have any sort of advantage there. But I like Virginia Tech in this one, and the line is moving that way. It's not a play for me, but South Carolina down from -9.5 to -7. 78% of tickets and only 50% of the cash on South Carolina. It looks like even though the total shot up from 45.5 to 51.5, we got 67% of tickets on the over and 60% of the cash on the under. So the money is actually coming back on the under. I think maybe it was a setup where some of the professional guys saw the line moving towards the over and were like, we know this is going to maybe get up higher because it's going to be one of those nationally televised, isolated games. Public always likes to go over in those games. So let's try to get it up to that key 51.5, and try to then pound it on the under. I think maybe that's what they're doing there. I think an under makes sense because I actually think both offensive lines don't have a lot returning, if I'm not mistaken. I know both quarterbacks are back. Virginia Tech. So their entire offensive line is new. They're returning their quarterback, Drones, but they're not really returning too many other guys there. In South Carolina, we know they're returning Lenora Sellers, who's considered to be a really good quarterback, and he is. He was a good quarterback last year, but they're returning only 2 of their offensive linemen and no running backs either. So South Carolina, not a ton of returning production for them either. But I actually lean to Virginia Tech in that one. I think the public is just on South Carolina, man. I would try to get the plus 7.5. There's not a huge difference between 9.5 and 7.5. The 8s are kind of like dead numbers in football. I do agree with the under in that game as well, again, because I think the offensive lines might struggle a little bit early on. South Carolina is a good defense as well. Virginia Tech, not really, but I think Virginia Tech might get up for this game. The one issue that I might have with it is that South Carolina's coach is Shane Beamer, who is the son of Frank Beamer, who was the legendary Virginia Tech coach. So Shane Beamer, I think, does kind of have a thing where he will probably get up for a game against Virginia Tech, try to get his players up for it. But I think South Carolina is just a little bit overrated coming into this season, man. They were good last year, yes. Sellers, I do think he is pretty good. They were good defensively last year. They're an SEC team, though, and sometimes you'll see the SEC team getting too much hype early on. Virginia Tech's just being overlooked, I think, man. Drones, I know he didn't have a good season last year, but I think he's better than what he looked like. Virginia Tech did at least get screwed in one of their games last year, the Miami one. If you remember how that game ended, Virginia Tech had what I am certain was a touchdown on the last play of that game on a Hail Mary, and it was ruled a touchdown. They would have won the game against Miami, and then it took about 3 minutes to overturn it, which was not even the correct call. That was absolutely insane. I think Miami was just paying off the refs, man, which hopefully will help out our play in the Miami game, which I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I mean, I lead to Virginia Tech. A lot of it is kind of a market read, though, more than anything else. But the games that I'm actually going to give out are all, I think, situational plays. So let's get into it, man. I am going to give out Texas. I gave out Texas +3 if you follow my show. I did give it out back when it was actually at +3. I know it is not +3 anymore. Oh, I forgot this game was still on, man. And it's actually close in the fourth quarter. Central Michigan, San Jose State. Can I put it on? San Jose State football. I have no idea if it's actually on any of the channels here. It is. It's on FS1. All right. Anyway, Texas. Yes, I gave out Texas. This is the big game. This is one of the biggest games of the year, man, and it's in week 1 between number 1 Texas and number 3 Ohio State. But to me, I think the money did come in on Ohio State. I understand it's already down from 3 to 1, 1.5. I think you could still get Texas at 1.5, or you could maybe take a shot with Texas on the money line as an underdog. I still think it's the right side, but it looks like Texas is public, but the professional money is also agreeing with the public. So I think all of it is on Texas. So yes, that does mean the books probably want Ohio State to get this win, but I like Texas. 72% of tickets, 81% of the cash coming in on Texas. Total also dropped from 50.5 to 47. So if you're taking points, the points are worth a little bit more with a low total like this. And I do agree with the under, by the way, in this game. 52% of tickets, 59% of the cash on the under. You are going to have 2 inexperienced quarterbacks in this game. So I think that lends itself to an under. And it's a big, like, playoff type of game. And I think defenses tend to be better early on than offenses. Our offenses take a little longer to get into rhythm, which we've seen already. A lot of these early college football games have gone under, right? Even most of the games that have gone over have been like barely going over. So a lot of games are low scoring early on. I know it's a low total at 47, but I think I still do lean to the under, but I prefer taking Texas plus the points. And again, I mean, 3 was obviously the number that you had to do it at if you really wanted it, but I mean, you could still maybe do it at any underdog price, like I said, +1.5, +1, money line underdog. I still think Texas does win this game. Yes, I do think it'll be an under. I do think the teams will be feeling each other out early on. I think it'll be a defensive game, a playoff atmosphere. But even though, yes, it's going to be a really crazy atmosphere in Ohio State, and I'm rarely going to fade a team in their home opener, man. I'm rarely going to do that. But I think there are certain situations where it makes sense, and I think this is one of them. First of all, this is major, major revenge for Texas. If you remember, Texas lost to Ohio State in what I believe was, the semifinals last year, the playoffs, right? And if you remember, I had Texas +6.5 in that game on my show. I thought the line was way too big on Ohio State. I thought the public was just overlooking Texas completely. Ohio State was coming off annihilating Oregon. And I gave out Ohio State in that game, by the way. If you remember my watching my show early this year, I gave out Ohio State in the Rose Bowl against Oregon. That was an anti-public play, and they absolutely slaughtered Oregon. But then after that, I thought Texas was the undervalued team after I believe they had almost lost to Arizona State in a game that they should have won way more easily. Texas had a chance, man, against Ohio State, even though they lost by 14. If you remember what happened in that game, they should have covered at the very least because Texas was knocking on the door about to tie that game 21 apiece in the fourth quarter. They were right near the goal line, and they had a stupid play call. I'm not a fan of Sarkisian, man. I understand, yes, we are going with the worst coach here, Sarkisian for Texas. Ryan Day for Ohio State is the better coach, but Texas, they made just a huge blunder in that game, and they had a fumble 6. So it went from Texas potentially tying the game at 21 to all of a sudden they were down 28-14, and that was the game. I was livid about that because I had Texas plus the points in that game. That was unbelievable, but I think that game was closer than it looked, and now you know, if you're playing the team that eliminated you last year, you know that puts a huge chip on your shoulder, man. So Texas, you know they have this game circled, even though, yes, this is a big game for Ohio State, but Ohio State is also kind of in a letdown spot in a way, man. They're coming off winning the championship. We know that. So now Ohio State's coming off of that, and Ohio State, they're going to have growing pains more so than Texas is early on, man, which is the other reason why I like this. Texas, yes, their quarterback is somewhat inexperienced. It is Arch Manning, and maybe he's too overhyped. Maybe Texas is not actually the best team in college football. Texas did have one of the best defenses in college football last year, and they still will. They returned 6 of their defensive starters, so more than half of their defense is coming back. Yes, their offense is looking like they don't have a lot of returning production here, but Arch Manning has been in their system, man. So that's the thing. Arch Manning, he's been with the team for multiple years. I think at this point, he played a bit last year. So even though he's inexperienced, he's played a little bit. And he knows the system. They were actually switching him in and out with Quinn Ewers, too. So you get him, Arch Manning, a guy that's been in the system. He knows the system. He's played before. Up against Ohio State, their quarterback is a true freshman quarterback. So I think they're going to be more growing pains on the side of Ohio State, man. A guy that's like, he's making not only his first college football start, but he's doing it in this pressure environment at the shoe in front of his home crowd against Texas. That is a difficult spot to be in, man. You're throwing your true freshman into the fire, man. So I actually think Texas should do better for that reason. And Ohio State also replaced both their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator, and I think they're both downgrades. Their offensive coordinator, I forget who it is now, but they lost Chip Kelly, who is an offensive mastermind. Remember, he had some really good offensive teams. He was a head coach as well, but he's better as an offensive coordinator. He's gone, so I think Ohio State may take a little bit of a step down offensively. Of course, they may anyway because Will Howard is gone, and he was really good last year, their quarterback. He is now on the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Chip Kelly being gone is a big deal, but also they lost their defensive coordinator, and I forget who their defensive coordinator was, but their new one is Matt Patricia. I'm not a fan, man. He's been in the NFL as a coach. He's been, I think he was with the Patriots for a bit, and he's just kind of an idiot, to be honest, man. Matt Patricia, he's not really had success anywhere that he's gone. I think he might have been, was he with Tennessee, like under Vrabel for a bit? I don't remember. I know he was on the Patriots staff, but he's not good, man. So I think this is a downgrade for both coordinators for Ohio State as well. So all that being said, I do like Texas in this game. I do think Texas does get the win here. So do with that information what you will. Obviously, the better number is gone. But if you follow my show, hopefully you're actually able to get the +3 earlier, which it was up to maybe about a week ago. I think the +3 was still out there. But I don't hate still taking Texas, man. Like +1, 1.5, plus money on the money line underdog. But that's the way that I like it. A call came in from FanDuel. Well, no, because the odds makers wanted Miami to lose that game, dude. Miami was a massively public favorite in that game. The odds makers wanted Miami to lose, to crush like some money line parlays there. Although Miami didn't cover, so that was one thing, I guess. The odds makers got what they wanted as far as Virginia Tech covering, but they were going to cover whether or not they scored that touchdown. But I think the odds makers would have preferred the Virginia Tech money line hit. Like, I don't think that was a big public play there. Unless you think it had to do with the total. I don't think it had to do with the total either. I think that game was like in the 40s on both sides. I think that game was way over the total, so I don't think it had anything to do with the total either. All right. Next up, we got what are the other games I'm going to talk about here? Let's go to, this is the weirdest one, man. South Dakota plus 16. If you can find a book that has this number, it may not be out yet at all the books. I think it is out at ESPN Bet already, but I think it will be out at more books by like the morning because South Dakota is an FCS team. But if you can find this number, I think this is a great situation to play South Dakota State. I don't think we have any, or South Dakota, excuse me, not South Dakota State. South Dakota against Iowa State. We don't see any market movement on this. I'm rarely going to be on an FCS team like this. But the number being 16, like that automatically, like immediately, that seems really, really low, right? Like how is Iowa State, a team that, won the Pop-Tart Bowl last year, a team that just won on a national TV audience, in front of a national TV audience against Kansas State, ranked matchup in Dublin. How could Iowa State only be a 16-point favorite at home? And yes, I know it's a home opener for Iowa State, but we don't need South Dakota to actually win the game. We only need them to cover a big number here. Iowa State, like I said, I still don't think their offense is that good. I think that win was misleading, by the way. I mean, not just because I had Kansas State in the game and I gave it out on the show, but Iowa State, they got outgained massively in that game by Kansas State, man. Kansas State had the better numbers like across the board offensively. They outstatted them in every category, and I think they had about 3 more yards per play than Iowa State. Iowa State's offense was very bad in that game. Their quarterback, Becht, was below 50% completions, I think. They really did not do a whole lot offensively at all. Becht, I mean, he's going through some growing pains again because he has new wide receivers there, but yes, they do have a game under their belt now. But I still don't think Iowa State is that good of an offense either. I think they're actually more of like a slow defensive team, and I think that might help us here taking a lot of points like this against an offense that isn't really that potent. Let me see what ESPN has for, let me see if they have the number here on the Iowa State game. Actually, do they have it here? Hold on. Iowa State. No, UIA. They have the total really low at 46.5, very low total on this game. So again, that also makes me like taking the points here. Whenever you have a very, very low total like that, it also means the points are worth way more. I mean, that is a seriously low total, and you're getting a big spread there. South Dakota, yes, they're an FCS team. I don't know a whole lot about FCS, but I know they're like one of the top 5 or 4 teams in FCS. So they're actually a really good FCS team. They're probably about as good as maybe, I would say maybe about like the 60th or so best FBS team is probably in line with what South Dakota is. Iowa State, yes, they're ranked at 22, but remember, they're coming off a big win over Kansas State. Not only was it misleading, so I think Iowa State's not as good as they looked, but that's a big win. It was a ranked game, ranked matchup, 2 ranked teams. It was a conference game between 2 Big 12 teams. So that was another reason why it was a huge game for Iowa State. It was national TV. It was in Dublin. Huge game, but that means they're having to travel from Dublin back to Ames, Iowa for this. So they're having to travel back home, which to me, it seems like that's not a good spot. While South Dakota, they haven't played yet, right? So they're just sitting around. This is their first game of the season. A team like South Dakota, they got this circled, man. This is their only game all season against an FBS team. So South Dakota, they've been preparing for this all offseason, man. Whereas Iowa State, they're likely not preparing for this game. Iowa State, they spent all offseason preparing for Kansas State. That was the big game for them, even though this is technically their home opener. It's not even an FBS team that they're playing, so it's not an official home opener really yet. So I think, again, South Dakota has a lot of preparation for this, whereas Iowa State, I think, is not going to be that focused on this. And to make matters worse for Iowa State, look who they play next week. This is a sandwich spot because not only are they coming off a huge win, I love sandwiches, and we actually have one in week 1. Not only is Iowa State coming off a huge win that it was totally misleading, they're having to travel back from Ireland, but they got their huge rivalry game against Iowa next week at noon on Saturday on Fox. So I think they might completely overlook South Dakota, man. So this is a bad, bad spot for Iowa State. So give me the points with South Dakota in this game. It might be my favorite play of the entire week, man. It's a fucking FCS team. But yeah, if you can find that at your books, hopefully, I get it. It's week 1. Weird stuff is going on. I know Texas, the number's not there anymore. South Dakota's an FCS team, so maybe your books don't have this game, but it's a great play in my opinion, man. South Dakota. all of the games. You want me to talk about all the games? Next up, we got LSU Clemson. Clemson minus 3.5. I'm going to give that out as a play, although this line is moving, man. So if you want to lay 4, I think you might be able to. Holy crap, man. Central Michigan might actually beat San Jose State. San Jose State's a double-digit favorite. San Jose State's not even scoring in this game. Week 1 is so weird, man. Central Michigan, not a good team at all. Clemson, they're already up to 4. I think the professional money is coming in on Clemson. If you want to get it, I think you got to get on it. Unfortunately, it was not at 3. Like when I looked at it, it was 3.5 most of the week. You might still be able to find 3.5s out there. If not, you might have to lay a 4. I mean, it's a little bit of a difference. 4 is a slightly key number, but 3 is more key. You're already on the wrong side of 3, but I still think it's correct in this one, man. 61% of tickets, 65% of the cash coming in on Clemson. So I think the actual money is coming in on Clemson. I know it's a big game for both teams, of course, and I think this is the battle of Death Valley, right? Because I think both of these teams call their home stadium Death Valley. If I'm not mistaken, is that true? I don't know. The money's coming in on the under, it looks like, though. 61% of tickets on the over, 52% of the cash on the under. The total went up, though, a little bit to 57.5. I'm not quite sure that this is going to be an under type of game, though, man. Even though, like I did just say that playoff-style games, playoff atmosphere games in week 1 do tend to go under, but I'm not so sure this one is going to, because this game, we have 2 experienced quarterbacks going at it in this game, man. So we have Nussmeier for LSU, where the whole question over the offseason was, is Nussmeier going to enter the draft, or is he going to be back with LSU? And he decided to come back to LSU for his final year of eligibility. So he's a very experienced quarterback. We know that, but same thing goes for Clemson. Cade Klubnik for Clemson. And Clemson, not only is Klubnik coming back, but they have the most returning production out of any team. They're highest in returning production, and they have the second most returning starters, but they have more returning production than Arizona State, because it's the returning production overall has to do with also like how many of your backups were there last year and whatever, and how much production the players gave you last year. So Clemson, they're the highest in all of FBS football in returning production. They got Klubnik coming back. They got 3 wide receivers coming back. Their entire offensive line, I believe, except for 1 guy, is coming back. And 8 players on their defense are coming back. So they have 8 out of 11 players on both sides of the ball coming back. That is huge for Clemson. Clemson's trying to win a championship this year, man. So I think Clemson, they got the continuity. Obviously, they have the same coach, Sweeney, there. But they have more continuity than LSU here, man. LSU only has 7 returning starters. And yes, I know Nussmeier is one of them. He's their leader, but they lost their entire offensive line except for 1 guy, their center. So they lost 80% of their offensive line. They have 1 running back, 1 wide receiver coming back, and they only have 3 guys returning on defense. Whit Weeks is their best defensive player, basically, so he is coming back, their linebacker. His older brother, I think, was also on LSU's defense, so he must have graduated or something. West Weeks. If you watch the SEC Netflix documentary that they have out there, it's pretty fun, actually. The Weeks brothers are actually pretty fun to watch. I like those guys. They got that real, like, down home, like, Southern boy aura. I don't like LSU, but I like those 2 dudes. Nussmeier seems like an all right dude as well, to be honest, but I'm not going to like him in this game. I tend to not like LSU's football program, and I really don't like Brian Kelly, their coach, man. I don't think Sweeney, I'm not a huge fan of Sweeney for Clemson, to be honest, but, I mean, he's been there and done that. So, I mean, I actually trust him more than Brian Kelly. Kelly, I mean, the knock on him, of course, he's never won a championship. But not only that, Kelly tends to be really, really bad in week 1. Kelly, with LSU, has not won a week 1 game, and he's lost, I believe, his last 6 games in week 1, going back to, I think, when he was still a coach with Notre Dame or whatever. So Brian Kelly is actually terrible in week 1. And I'm not even sure that he's really that excellent a coach, to be honest, man. So I actually think Sweeney has the coaching edge here, in addition to getting all this continuity edge and returning starting edge for Clemson here. So I like Clemson, and this is at Clemson, man. This is a hostile environment. Yeah, fuck you, CBS Sports. I accidentally refreshed the page, and now CBS Sports is like telling me you got to get rid of your ad blocker. Yeah, fuck you. It's not going to let me even do it, man. This motherfucker. I absolutely hate it, man. So I guess I got to just do it. Whatever. Anyway, I don't know what I was even saying, but yeah, Clemson, they're at home as well. It's going to be a really hostile environment. I think this is another one of those spots where the SEC team is probably actually getting overhyped too much. LSU, I mean, they didn't have that great a season the last couple of seasons, man. Yes, there's talk about them competing for a championship this year. I've heard professionals talk about it. I talked about it on my preview show. I did say that LSU certainly has a good shot to make the playoff, and then if they do, anything goes, really. But I think in week one especially, week one is where the returning starters really matter. Like, if you have not a lot of experience, not a lot of continuity in week one, it's going to take some adjustment time, man. So the team's going to have to adjust for the first couple of weeks, whereas Clemson, they're, ready to go, man. They brought most of their guys back. I think they're pissed about how last year ended. They lost to Texas, I believe, right? So they're going to want to get back to it and do it again, man. LSU, I question their defense as well. I actually think Clemson might have the better defense here. LSU, their defense hasn't played well the last couple of years, so I like Clemson in this spot. I'm not convinced that LSU is the better of these two teams either, which they're not ranked higher either, right? This is number 10, I think, versus number 9 versus 4, excuse me. So Clemson is ranked higher, but I think it's actually legitimate in this case. So Clemson will be the play in that one. Zach, what's up, man? You don't like Brian Kelly? Yeah, you're a Notre Dame fan. Notre Dame, well, I'm about to talk about them right now, and you're not going to like this, but Notre Dame, I agree with you that Freeman, is that his name? He's definitely a better coach than Brian Kelly. I mean, he got the most out of his players last year, but we're going to Sunday here. I'll reiterate this when I do my Sunday morning show, but I'm going to give out Miami, Florida, plus the 3. Again, we're going to go with an ACC team. What am I doing here, man? I'm going to give out 2 plays on ACC teams, even though I think the ACC is ASS. Yeah, I know. They are ass, but we're going to go with Miami in this one, man. This is another ranked matchup here. This is 6 Notre Dame against number 10 Miami, but I think this all really has to do with the quarterback experience, and I think this is also kind of a letdown spot, but I think there's also kind of a unique, or a hangover spot for Notre Dame, I should say. But I think this is also kind of a unique spot for Miami's quarterback here. Now, Notre Dame, we know they made the championship last year. They lost to Ohio State. Notre Dame, if you watch my show, I was talking about how I didn't even like Notre Dame to get past Georgia in the playoff, man. Notre Dame, yeah, I mean, they're a good team, obviously. They have a good defense. They have a really good coach. I don't know how many of these guys are coming back. Let me see. We know their quarterback's not coming back. They do have 11 returning starters, including their running back. It's 6 of their defensive players, so that's good. Yes, they have a lot of returning production. Jeremiah Love, spelled with a Y, which is really gay, by the way. His parents did him no favors with that. He's returning. Yes, he's good. Yes, he's probably going to be the focal point of their offense. Notre Dame, they like to run the ball. They like to possess the ball. They like to play defense. None of that is going to change. They have the same coach, but I think coming into this game, even though I know I don't like Miami's defense, I get it. I don't like their coach at all, Mario Cristobal. I don't like the fact they only have 8 returning starters, but they do have 5 returning starters on defense, so their defense does have at least a little bit of continuity, which is at least something. And yes, I know their offense isn't returning a lot of guys, but we know that Miami's quarterback that is coming in is a way more experienced quarterback. And yes, I know I don't like Miami's coach, Cristobal. He's an idiot. He's a huge coaching disadvantage here. I understand that. Cristobal sucks. I hate him. He's way worse than Freeman is his name, right, for Notre Dame. But Miami, I think the quarterback experience edge is going to loom large in week 1, man. Especially Miami is at home as well, which I'll talk about how I think they do have a pretty decent home advantage here as well. But Carson Beck is coming in, man, and all I've heard is Carson Beck being shit on by everybody with the way that it ended for him with Georgia. People think he looks like a bird. People think he isn't good. Whatever. He got hurt and he didn't finish last season. But, dude, Carson Beck, he was the starting quarterback for Georgia. He was facing SEC defenses, and now he's going to be playing for Miami. And yes, I know he's facing Notre Dame here. Notre Dame's a good defense. I don't think Notre Dame is quite at the level of many of those SEC defenses that Carson Beck was facing, man. So Beck, at least he knows how to do it. He has experience. He's an upperclassman. He's got experience playing in big games. He's got experience playing against good defenses. So I think Beck is going to be fine here. I think it's a good thing for Miami. Rare situation, man, where Miami had the number 1 draft pick, Cam Ward. They lost him, and they just reload right away, and they bring in a solid quarterback. That's what they're doing here. I think it will actually go well for Beck, especially in the ACC, but I think it'll go well from here, man. Notre Dame, again, I still think Notre Dame wasn't as good as they looked last year because they played a pretty weak schedule, man, because they're an independent. They're not in a conference. They didn't play a whole ton of like big games, but they do have some bigger games at the beginning of their schedule this year, and this is one of them. This is, of course, the Catholics versus convicts rivalry. It's a big rivalry. The Catholics being Notre Dame, of course, the Catholic school. But I'm siding with the convicts here, man. All of the criminals that live in Miami. That's where we're going in this one. I think they'll do something criminal in this game and pull it off, man. But that's what I'm going with here. And I do think Miami has a home edge here as well. I think the crowd is going to be there in huge numbers. I mean, it's an opening game. It's a home opener. Huge game against Notre Dame. But I think Notre Dame will be hung over from losing the championship. I think that is kind of a historical trend there where the team that loses the championship tends to not do that well in the first game the next year, because they did play. That means they played a little bit deeper, so they had shorter off season, right? They had to go through those physically punishing games all the way to the championships. That's a bit of a disadvantage there, man. And all of that just to lose in the end. So I think it's going to be a bit of a hangover spot. I think it also causes Notre Dame to be overvalued here. I actually think Miami's a little bit undervalued, even though Miami's a team that I generally don't like. I don't like their defense. I don't like their coach. I did say all that, but I also think that in this game, let's take a look at the weather here in this game. 83 degrees. It looks like there might be rain, lightning, but here's the thing, man. I know it's a night game, so the heat won't be as extreme, but Notre Dame, I mean, they're more of a cold weather team, man, although I know, like, in college, you don't really play that much cold weather, really. Like, it gets a little bit colder towards the end of the season, but this is going to be like a heat game, man. It's in Miami in week 1. It's going to be in the 80s. And Miami, what I think they should do, which I don't think South Florida did on Thursday night, I think Miami should wear their white uniforms and force Notre Dame to wear dark uniforms and have to collect more of the heat, although that would make more sense in a day game. But still, I think the heat might actually help Miami as well in this game. And this is also a market read type of play here, where the market is also on my side on this. The line did go up from 2 to 3, but I think it was a lot of public action doing that because, you know, this is going to be one of the most publicly bet games of the week, man. This is the bailout game because basically what recreational bettors will do is if they play all these college football games on Saturday and they lose, they're going to try to bail themselves out by playing the games on Sunday. And which game on Sunday is going to get the most attention? Yeah, it's going to be this Notre Dame-Miami game. It's going to be a huge game. That's going to be one of the most publicly bet games of the entire weekend because it's an isolated game. 62% of tickets, only 52% of the cash coming in on Notre Dame. So they're public. They're a public road favorite. I'm going to say grab the points here, and the totals also dropped from 54.5 through the key number of 51 to 50.5. So that's a good sign for taking the points as well, that the total has gone down. It's expected to be a lower scoring game. So for all those reasons, Miami is going to be the play in that one. What was the question from Curtis? Let me see. Nate, what's up, man? Who wins the national championship first, Brian Kelly or Notre Dame? Notre Dame. Neither, but maybe I think Notre Dame has the better shot to do it. I mean, they do have the better coach right now. It's a toss-up. Yeah, well, if it's a toss-up, then, yeah, taking the points at home kind of does make sense. Yeah, you guys are up late. Well, I'm about to be done with this one. Beck with the beak. Yeah, that's right. Carson Beak. That's true, actually. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Zach. Notre Dame also lost their defensive coordinator, so they might have a little bit of lack of defensive continuity right away as well. Georgia, full of convicts as well. Georgia, I think they're going to be stacked again this year, reloaded, restocked, whatever. I think Georgia will be good again. Every historically black college or the convicts. Is Miami even one, though? I think Miami's more Latino dudes. Before I get out of here, I'm going to talk about a couple other games real quick because I forgot there's a Monday night game because NFL has not started yet. So before NFL starts, we actually get a Monday night game between TCU and North Carolina. So Bill Belichick gets to be on an isolated TV game. Isn't that just great? We get to see Belichick with North Carolina, and TCU, despite being on the road, has moved from a pick'em to a 3.5 point favorite through the 3.5. 58% of tickets, 66% of the cash coming in on TCU. I mean, I agree with that move. I agree with TCU in this game. They do have 9 returning starters, including Hoover, their quarterback, 5 of their defensive players, even though TCU's defense has been really bad. But North Carolina's defense is even worse, man, and they're only bringing back 2 guys. They're not returning their quarterback. They have a new coach. So North Carolina is going to have way more turnover getting Belichick there, and they're way too hyped because they have Belichick there. TCU is actually flying a little bit under the radar coming into this game. TCU has more of the continuity, so I agree with that move. I just don't really think you can lay 3.5 with TCU, but if you want to go with like a money line or something on TCU, I do think they're the correct side in that game. And North Carolina, again, their defense has been unbelievably bad the last few years, worse than TCU's even. So it also seems like an over would make sense in this game with 2 horrific defenses, but the money all came in on the under. It was a high total of 59.5, and it's down to 56. 68% tickets, 94% of the cash on the under. I'm not even sure I agree with an under in that game, although week 1, it's kind of difficult to play overs. Let me just see if there are any other games real quick that I had some opinions on that might be somewhat interesting games to talk about here. Utah UCLA is actually kind of an interesting one. Belichick's going to be coaching in easy mode. Against easy mode, no, I disagree with that. North Carolina is going to be absolute ass, dude. They don't have good personnel. I think Belichick is old. He's overhyped. I think basically his girlfriend is actually coaching the team right now, the way that relationship is going. I think North Carolina is going to be awful. Utah UCLA is really interesting, actually. Utah is up from 4.5 to 6. This is an old Pac-12 game, man. Right now, Utah is in the Big 12, and UCLA is in the Big 10. So Utah, here's the thing, man. Utah is used to playing in UCLA. So it's not really a spot that Utah's unfamiliar with going to UCLA. So that's not horrible for them. 65% of tickets, only 61% of the cash on Utah, even though they've moved up to 6. So even though it looks like the public is kind of on Utah and going against them, I lean to Utah in this game, man. If you watched my college football preview show, I like Utah to win the Big 12 this year. I think Utah is going to be good. And one of the reasons for that is that they have a physical defense. And they are returning some of their guys, man, from last year. Like I mentioned, Isaac Wilson is returning, but it actually seems like they're going with a different quarterback. So that's the one thing that I kind of worry about is that Utah actually does have a new quarterback, it seems like, coming in there now. Although they do have Whittingham, their coach. He's been there forever. They have some defensive continuity there, and they have a physical defense, which I think can give UCLA problems because UCLA is one of those kind of finesse type of teams that might not be that good against a physical defense, although they do have the quarterback transfer, Iamaleava, however you pronounce his name, from Tennessee. So he is used to facing punishing defenses in the SEC. So there is that at least. But he's also a new quarterback, and UCLA has to get used to having him there. He has to get used to a new system there. So I think there are going to be some continuity issues with UCLA early on. So my lean in that game is actually Utah, but it's not a very strong lean for me in that one. Slight lean. And then any other games of note here? I know that there's a lot of professional money coming in on Georgia Southern at Fresno State, even though they're having to go play a late game on the Pacific Coast. But it is at least the first game of the season, so they might be able to get out there early and adjust their biological clocks. I don't really remember what the reasoning was from the professional bettors here, but Georgia Southern has flipped from +2 to -1.5. They're actually favored against Fresno State. Now, I think part of the reasoning is that Fresno, they've already played a game, and I think that's actually going to be seen as a negative, even though Fresno got absolutely annihilated in their first game at Kansas, which I told you I leaned Kansas in that game. Fresno, they're just going through growing pains, man. They have a new coach there. E.J. Warner, Kurt Warner's son, is their quarterback, and he's a new quarterback there as well. So I don't think that's a great thing either for Fresno. Yes, this is going to be their home opener, so they should show up for it. It's kind of a big game in their home opener, but they're just a bad team with a lot of continuity issues. And Georgia Southern, I think the thought was just that Georgia Southern, I believe, has a lot more continuity here. I don't know how many guys they're returning, though. Where are they at here? 42nd in returning production is actually pretty good for Georgia Southern, just below Utah. But I know the professional money is coming in on that side. on Georgia Southern. More continuity. The odds makers are actually telling you they're the better team over Fresno, even though Georgia Southern is in who the fuck knows what conference they're in at this point. Where are they in the MAC now? I don't even know where they're at now. Kind of weird if they're in the MAC, although I think they actually are. They're a MAC team, favored on the road against a Mountain West team. But I agree with the professionals on that one as well. And then anything else of note here? I mean, Utah State has Bronco Mendenhall is their new coach there, so just something to keep in mind. They're up from 4-6. The money is coming in on them against UTEP. 79% of tickets, 84% of the cash. But with Mendenhall, he is returning to kind of the Mountain West area there. But Utah State, they're going to have to implement a new system there with him, so there might be some growing pains there. And then California, Oregon State, somewhat interesting because it's a competitive line at 1.5. Oregon State, of course, this is an old Pac-12 matchup between and now Pac-2 team in Oregon State, as the Pac-12 will reform next year with a bunch of new teams like Boise joining it. But for now, it's the orphans, Oregon State and Washington State, and I think that's bad. I think the fact that it's a Pac-2, those teams are basically orphaned, they're basically homeless, and they're not as good. Oregon State is sitting at 1.5. It's gone up a little bit, but 77% of tickets, 67% of the cash on them. So Oregon State's a public home team here. It seems like the recreational guys don't like California here, but I actually think Cal, I don't know if they're necessarily as bad as they look, man. I hate how these videos are just playing here, man, but whatever. California, they only have 7 returning starters. I don't really know. Is Oregon State even listed on here? I don't think they are. I don't know what Oregon State's returning production is, to be honest. I really have kind of not even paid attention. They actually are 39th, so they're not that bad in returning production. California's is actually less, the returning production, so that one certainly won't be a play for me, but it's an interesting line where it almost looks like it's so easy to take Oregon State because they're considered to be pretty good at home. The public seems to have no faith in Cal at all, but Cal wasn't that bad last year, although I know they're losing some of their guys from last year, but it's an interesting one. I would probably lean to Cal in that game, and I think that's going to do it. That'll do it. We'll have an hour here for the first week there. Sun Belt, that's right. That's where Georgia Tech is, the Sun Belt. Let me see what else. What else are you guys talking about here before I get out of here? You don't like University of North Carolina. I'm not a huge fan either, but I'm really a Duke hater in college basketball because I just hate that program. As far as UNC, I mean, I'm not really a fan of them either. Georgetown versus Davidson. What is that? Is that FCS football? I mean, no, I did not cover that. That's not in my wheelhouse. The Polynesian Bowl is Utah and UCLA, right? Yeah, a lot of Samoans in that game. The Samoan Bowl. That's right. It's the Spam Bowl. Correct. Yes. Good call, Charles. Thank you, sir. I've been told I need to get more going on here, but dude, I forgot. I have a new graphic, and I totally forgot for the breakdown. I should have said this is the breakdown, although I actually fucked it up with some white on the left-hand side, so I got to fix that. But it's the breakdown. I forgot to do the best bet segment because I had the best bet segment there too. Man. All right, I got to fix that breakdown graphic there, but I'll get on that. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Anyway, the college football plays of the week are Texas +3, although you have to get like 1.5 now on them. I still like Texas, though. South Dakota going FCS on that one against an FBS team, +16. Clemson -3.5. And Miami, Florida, +3. Don't play Miami, Ohio, though they already played this week, so that won't be a problem. Thank you, sir. Duke Lacrosse, yeah, they didn't do it, man. They did not do it. That's going to do it for me, though. Learn to Toad on Twitter, Learn to Toad on Instagram. Got to get all these Instagram videos out. Better Off Dead. Like and subscribe to the channel, YouTube, audio platforms, Spotify, although my Descript is running out of hours, so I got to figure out what to do about that. Yeah, and what else do I have to say? I don't even know what else I have to say about any of this. Yeah, so the Descript is a thing that I'm running into right now, but I will be on the audio platform still. I am there, so go give me a review. Spotify, Apple. Covered in Uke on YouTube, my Uke channel, where I have to put my latest Uke covers up there as well. And then patreon.com/learn-to-toad, and there is a Uke Spotify feed on there. Yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you, sir. Good luck to all of you and whatever you're betting tomorrow as well. I still am not even actually betting any of these games. Maybe I need to again because I got to start making some money somehow, man. But we'll see what happens. It did not go well for me with the... I should have had a winning day today, man. That under in that Blue Jays game is really, really going to irritate me. First 5 would have been an easy one in that one. That's going to do it. I'll be back in the morning because I got to talk about the baseball card tomorrow. So I'll be back to talk about that. And maybe there's WNBA too. I don't even know, man. But that's going to do it. I'll be back and we'll reanalyze what the market looks like, I guess, in college football. That's the way I usually do it here. I got to get funnier on this show too, man. I got to figure it out. I've been told that I need to talk about some weirder bets and stuff, but we'll see. Peace out for now, guys. I appreciate hanging out late at night. It's very late East Coast time. Not going to get much sleep, but peace, guys.